Hi everyone, welcome to my studio. And this month's edition of our Mug Rug of the Month Club, we're going to make a Mother's Day gift. And it says Happy Mother's Day, and the designs form a heart. It's just got a pretty fabric on the back, and so this is a lot of fun. If you want a copy of this design, then send me an email request to waltzquilt@yahoo.com and I'll be happy to send it to you. If you want to become a member of our Mug Rug of the Month Club, then also shoot me an email and say, hey, add me to the list. All right, let's get stitching. Okay, for this month we're going to need to have your 5x7 hoop, although this design finishes out at about 5 inches square. A little more than 5 inches square. So this is, you just need any kind of stabilizer. It really doesn't matter. You can use a cutaway or a tearaway. You can also use a no-show mesh, which is a really lightweight mesh stabilizer, and it's a cutaway. If you use either a tearaway or that no-show mesh, this design has about 12,000, a little over 12,000 stitches in it. This kind of stabilizer is good for design up to 8,000 stitches. So you think, okay, I need to put a heavier stabilizer. Really, no, you don't. Even if you're using the no-show mesh. What I do is I keep several extra pieces of tearaway, and you use them from scraps. Because what you do is that when your machine reaches about 8,000 stitches, you just stop, or between a color change, you're going to take this extra scrap and you're going to slide it underneath the hoop, and that's going to give it extra stabilization. That'll help it, and that'll help keep things from puckering. And a lot of times if you see puckering happening on your embroidery hoop, then always stop. You can always throw in a piece of tearaway stabilizer underneath and you're good to go. The reason I say all tearaway is because tearaway, once you have so many needle punctures through it, it really doesn't have any more stabilization. So that's why I don't care if it's as thick as a cardboard box. All tearaway should be treated as if it's a lightweight stabilizer. By that meaning it really only support a design up to about 8,000 stitches. Okay, so I have taken so I've just hooped the stabilizer. For this, you're going to need a piece of batting, and I recommend cotton batting, about 4 inches by 6 or 8 inches long, in order to insulate your mug rug. You can also use like Insul-Brite or any of those. I'm going to need my background fabric, which is linen, which I have sprayed with this Terreal Magic, which is like super spray starch. It makes it nice and stiff, and therefore your fabric is going to be less likely to pucker. For the backing of this, for the back of the mug rug, I'm going to need 2 pieces of 6 inches by 8 inches that you're going to, and I usually press these with a little bit of spray starch in order to make them just a little bit crisper, and then you're going to fold it in half, and you want both of them in half, and that's 6 inches by 8 inches, and I will fold this in half and give it a good press. You want to, of course, have your design on a jump stick, and don't forget, if you want a copy of this design, then send me an email at waltzquilt@yahoo.com, and I'll be happy to send you this month's mug rug design. It'll be in PES format, because that's what I digitize in. Okay, you want to have embroidery bobbin thread, which is a 60 weight thread. Finishing touches actually my favorite. I'm using pre-wound bobbins. My machine naturally takes a class 15 bobbin, and I have tons of these class L bobbins, which were from my previous machine, and it's smaller. So if you're going to be using the class L and you have a class 15 machine, then you want to put the leveling pin in it, because that now raises it up to the depth of a class 15 bobbin. Okay, optional, you can have a little bit of steam-a-seam or any kind of fusible web in order to close the design up. Embroidery colors I'm going to be using is like a dark pink and a burgundy, but you can use any color you like. It helps to have a curved pair of scissors embroidery scissors because that helps you cut out the edges of the applique, and the only piece we have appliqued is the batting. Okay, and then of course a pair of regular scissors, and then to finish it off it actually helps to have a pair of pinking shears so you get nice crisp corners. I've loaded my design on this USB stick and I'm ready to put this in the machine and start stitching. Just remember, if you want a copy of this design, then send me an email at waltzquilt@yahoo.com and I'll be happy to send you this design in the instruction sheet. If you want to become a member of the 2023 Rug Mug of the Month Club, then also send me an email saying, hey, add me to the list, and that way next month you will automatically get the designs for the month of June. Okay, let's get stitching. All right, I have loaded the design into my machine. I'll hit set, go to embroidery, I'll leave it in the center of the hoop, and now it's ready to stitch out. So I've put burgundy thread in the needle just so you can see what's going on here. From the first color stop is going to show me the placement for the batting. So I'm just going to lower my needle and go. Okay. Didn't catch, but that's okay. My bobbin, probably I didn't have it in right, and that's okay. It's just to show us placement. You can use white. Okay, now I'm going to cover the stitching with this piece of batting. I just want to make sure that all of the stitches are covered by the batting, and then we'll do the second color stop, which will just tack it down, and it's just floating on the top. Now I'm going to take my curved scissors and pull this out, and I'm going to just trim all the way around. And it helps to have the curved scissors. You don't have to go really super close. I like to cut the batting out ahead of time before I start stitching, because that just reduces the bulk in the seam when I'm all finished. Okay. Return this. Now I'm going to float the linen on the top, and again I'm going to leave the burgundy on there. Right now I'd probably switch to an ivory colored thread so that it wouldn't be visible in case things don't go just right. Okay. And this is going to tack down the background fabric. Okay, that just tacked it down. Color stop number 4 is going to be the lettering for Happy Mother's Day. I'm going to leave this in burgundy anyway, but you could use whatever color you like. And then I'm just going to stitch it. And I'm going to speed this up a bit because it's like watching paint dry. Be back. Does anyone else notice that stitching's a little on the rough side? It looks kind of disjointed. Well, here's why. And yes, you guys said you missed the bloopers, so here's one for you. Okay, this is what I was sewing with. A wing needle from the last class I filmed, and I forgot to change it. I'm lucky I did not break my needle threader. So yeah, always check. So anyway, I'm not going to go back because what happened is that wing needle literally cut the fibers on the linen. But you know, this is a sample, so I'm not going to worry about it. So anyway, let's continue on. But I'm going to go ahead and let's see if it stitches a little better. I hope it does. Much better. Okay, so I'm going to finish stitching this off camera and I will be back. Okay, I've switched to the pink, and I'm ready to do color step number 5, which is the rest of the heart design, and I'm decided to do it in pink. Now what I did is I went back and stitched over this first part of this H just to make it look a little bit better. It's a little on the thick side there, but this is just a sample, so if it had a little bit of imperfections, that's just fine. So now I have come to about 7,000 stitches, a little over 7,300 stitches into this design. So I'm not getting any puckering, but just to be sure, I'm going to take this piece of tearaway stabilizer and I'm just going to float it up underneath the design, just to give it that added little bit of stability on the rest of the stitches. And so now I've just switched to pink, and we'll do color step number 5, and I will be back when it's done stitching with the right needle this time. So the next thing it's going to do is the last stitch, which is the putting the backing on. So I'm going to put these on so that it covers all of the stitching about 1/2 inch all the way around. Okay, and I want these to overlap. It doesn't matter which one goes on top. And I've covered all of the stitching. Okay, now you could tape these edges down. You can use painter's tape. You could use Kimberbell tape or that pink Floriani tape or even Scotch tape. But if you happen to have a brother or a baby lock machine, you really don't have to do that. So what I have done here is I'm leaving pink on here. So once I've overlapped these, I'm just going to start to stitch them. I'm going to stay really close so that I can hit this stop button really quick, because this machine has the ability to really slow down. So I'm going to hit the start button and I'm going to stay really close. Okay, it's going this way. I'm not in any worry about it jamming over that spot. I do have a problem over here, so I'm going to be ready to stop. Okay, and as I approach it, I'm going to push the button in and hold it. That way it goes really slow over the bump, and then when I'm ready, I let it go, and off it goes. I don't have to do it this time on this side, but I will be sure to do this on the other side. So it's coming up to the seam, stop, and hold, stop and hold. There. There, now it's cleared the bump. I don't have to use tape anymore. About the only time I really do use tape is when I'm securing a zipper onto with embroidery. Okay, this is all finished. So the next thing I'm going to do is take it off of the machine, and then I'm going to cut it out. It took about 21 minutes to stitch out at a total, but I'm only stitching at 700 stitches per minute. Depending on how fast your machine goes, it can go faster or slower. But anytime I have a design that's got a lot of satin stitches, I like to slow down to about 700 stitches per minute because you just get a better stitch out. Okay, I'm going to remove any excess stabilizer. You know what? Let's do this at the table. Okay, let's finish taking off the excess stabilizer. I said you could cut all these off, cut all your jump stitches if you like. Okay, now I'm ready to trim this. So I'm going to trim most of it, about 1/4 inch away with regular scissors. If you have a pair of pinking shears, this is where it helps to cut. Mine aren't very sharp. And then just cut them around, especially around the curves. Don't cut through your stitching, whatever you do. And this helps it to turn a little smoother. You know what else would work really well? Those Pinking Shears rotary cutters. You could use those too. If you don't have a pair of Pinking Shears, then you want to get a good pair of sharp to the end of the tip scissors and just clip around the curves. Okay, and then you're just going to turn this. Right sides out. And the rounded end of the point turner helps you to turn it a little so it has a nice smooth edge. Okay. Okay, then we're going to press it. And I have a little tiny iron. Let me turn it on. And my pressing mat. And I usually, now, if you want to cut out these little jump stitches, you can. Now you think, you know, my machine cuts jump stitches. Why didn't it cut those? It's because they're less than 1/4 of an inch apart. And the machines are set by default that anything closer than 1/4 inch is not a jump stitch. So that's why it didn't cut it. You can adjust it, but I don't recommend it. Put on a little steam to flatten it. I'm just going to press the edges. You really don't want to press over top of your stitching because it flattens it out. And see, now that's an absolutely lovely mug rug. Okay, now you don't have to close this if you don't want to. However, if you want to keep your mom from turning it inside out to inspect your work, I suggest that you seal it. You don't have to sew it. Just tuck in the steam-a-seam. Give it a good press. Usually about 10 seconds with a hot iron should give it a nice seal, and it does. Now they can't see that the inside's not perfect. Okay, it's all finished and it's ready for a Mother's Day gift. Would really be cute to get her a really pretty coffee cup and some tea, some fancy teas, and make a really nice gift. And she will love it because you made it. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me at waltzquilt@yahoo.com. And if you wish a copy of this particular PES embroidery design, shoot an email to me requesting it at waltzquilt@yahoo.com. And also, if you want to become a member of our monthly 2023 Rug Mug of the Month Club, then also send me an email and say, hey, add me to the list, and I'll be happy to send this to you. And you'll get June's on the 1st of the month and the rest of the year. Okay, thank you for watching. Have a great Mother's Day. We'll see you later. Bye.